Hey guys, tonight we're diving into something a little different. We're not talking about medieval peasants or ancient myths. Tonight, we're talking about hamburgers, specifically, how one man turned a small burger joint into a global empire through an astonishing amount of tedious, repetitive, mind-numbingly boring work. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You probably know the McDonald's story, or at least you think you do. Brilliant businessman Ray Kroc discovers a efficient burger restaurant in California, partners with the McDonald brothers, and builds a fast food empire. It's inspirational. It's the American dream. It's also missing about 95% of what actually happened, which is the boring 95%. The paperwork, the measurements, the repetition, the tedious standardization of every single motion required to make a hamburger. Tonight, we're going into those details, the parts that biographies skip over because they would put readers to sleep, which is exactly what we're here for. Let's start at the beginning. Not the inspiring beginning, the actual beginning, which involves a 52-year-old milkshake machine salesman driving across the American Midwest in 1954, trying to figure out why his sales are declining. Ray Kroc is not young. He's not particularly successful. He's been a piano player, a paper cup salesman, a radio DJ, a real estate agent in Florida, and now he sells multi-mixers, machines that can make 5 milkshakes simultaneously. For years, this has been a decent business. Drugstore soda fountains and small restaurants buy these machines. But lately, sales are dropping. Customers aren't replacing old machines. New customers are scarce. Ray is worried. Not panicked, but worried in that middle-aged way. When you start calculating how many working years you have left and whether your current trajectory is sustainable. He spends his days driving from town to town, Chicago to Milwaukee, Milwaukee to Des Moines, Des Moines to Kansas City, staying in motor lodges that are all exactly the same. Brown bedspreads, thin towels, television that gets 3 channels. He eats in diners, orders the special because it's cheapest, tips exactly 15%, calculated carefully, keeps receipts for everything because taxes are complicated and the IRS is not sympathetic. The driving is the worst part. Hours and hours of highway, 2-lane roads mostly, before the interstate system exists. You get stuck behind trucks. You navigate through small towns with stoplights every block. You calculate miles per gallon obsessively because gas costs money. Ray keeps a notebook in his car where he tracks expenses. Gas, oil changes, tire rotations, everything. The notebook has graph paper. The columns are labeled. His handwriting is neat, precise, the handwriting of someone who learned penmanship when penmanship mattered. One day in 1954, Ray is reviewing orders in his office, which is a room in a building in Chicago that's neither nice nor terrible, just functional. Metal desk, filing cabinets, window that looks at another building. He's going through customer orders, checking quantities, filing invoices, when he notices something odd. A restaurant in San Bernardino California has ordered 8 multi-mixers. 8. Most restaurants order 1, maybe 2. 8 means they're making 40 milkshakes simultaneously, which means they're selling an impossible volume of milkshakes. Ray is curious, professionally curious. He calls the restaurant. A man answers. Ray asks about the multi-mixers, whether they're working properly, whether they need service. The man says they're working fine. They're very busy. They need the capacity. Ray asks more questions. How many hamburgers do you sell? How many customers per day? The numbers are impossible. Nobody sells that many hamburgers from a single location. Either the man is lying or exaggerating or something unusual is happening. Ray decides to visit. This requires justification because California is far and plane tickets cost money, and his wife Ethel will ask why he's going. He manufactures business reasons. Visit other customers along the way. Check on the Western sales territory. Explore expansion opportunities. These reasons are partly true and partly excuse. Mostly, he's curious about the impossible hamburger restaurant. The drive to California takes several days. Ray doesn't fly because flying is expensive. He drives his car, a Cadillac he bought used, crossing the country on Route 66 and others, staying in motor lodges, eating in diners, keeping his receipts. The American West unfolds outside his window. Flat plains, distant mountains, desert eventually, small towns that look identical, gas stations, diners, motels, the landscape of American commerce in 1954. He arrives in San Bernardino on a hot afternoon. The restaurant is not hard to find. It's on E Street, and there's a crowd, actual crowds, at lunchtime on a Tuesday. Cars parked everywhere. People lined up at windows. Ray parks and watches. The restaurant is small, maybe 600 square feet. It has no indoor seating, just windows where you order and windows where you pick up food. The design is simple. 2 golden arches rise from the building, meeting above the roofline. It's distinctive, visible from blocks away. Ray sits in his car and observes, doing what he does, which is analyzing business operations. He watches the line. It moves fast. People order, pay, receive food within minutes, then leave. There's no waiting for tables because there are no tables. No waiting for checks because you pay immediately. The entire transaction takes maybe 3 minutes, from joining the line to walking away with food. Ray times it. He's timing everything now. Curious about this operation's mechanics. He orders a hamburger, 15 cents. He orders French fries, 10 cents. A milkshake, 20 cents. Total 45 cents. The food comes fast. The hamburger is in a paper wrapper. The fries in a red cardboard sleeve. The shake in a paper cup. Everything is disposable. No plates to wash. No silverware to clean. No glasses to return. Ray eats the hamburger. It's good. Not amazing, but consistently good. The patty is thin, cooked well done, placed on a bun with mustard, ketchup, pickle, onion. That's it. No variations. No hold the onions or extra pickle. This hamburger is this hamburger. Take it or don't. The simplicity is striking. Most restaurants offer customization. This one offers speed and consistency. He finishes eating and approaches one of the McDonald brothers. Dick or Mac, he's not sure which. He introduces himself, explains about the multi-mixers, says he's curious about their operation. The brothers are friendly, proud of what they've built. They offer to show him around, explain their system. Ray accepts immediately. The kitchen is small, incredibly small for the volume they're producing, but it's organized with almost military precision. Every item has a location. Every tool has a place. The layout is planned, so workers move efficiently, taking minimal steps, wasting no motion. The brothers explain that they designed this themselves through trial and error, testing different arrangements until they found what worked best. The process is completely standardized. Making a hamburger follows exact steps. Take a bun from the stack on the left, place it on the warmer, add a patty from the grill, which cooks exactly X seconds per side. Add 2 pickles, not 1, not 3, 2. Add a precise amount of ketchup, measured in ounces. Add a precise amount of mustard, also measured. Add reconstituted onions, exactly 1 spoonful. Wrap in paper, place and shoot for pickup. Every hamburger is identical. Not similar, identical. Same size patty, same amount of condiments, same temperature, same wrapper. This standardization means training is simple. Workers learn the process once and repeat it. No creativity required. No decisions to make. Just follow the steps over and over all day. The brothers walk Ray through every station. The grill where burgers cook. The fry station where potatoes, pre-cut to specifications, cook in oil at precisely controlled temperature. The shake station with the multi-mixers, blending ice cream and milk to exact consistency. The assembly area where orders get compiled. Everything is measured, timed, optimized. Ray is fascinated, not by the food, which is fine, but ordinary. He's fascinated by the system. This is engineering applied to hamburgers. This is manufacturing efficiency in a restaurant. He's seeing something unprecedented. Not a better hamburger, but a better way to make hamburgers. That evening, Ray meets with the McDonald brothers properly. They sit in a small office behind the restaurant. Dick and Mac McDonald are in their 50s, brothers who came to California during the Depression, tried various businesses, eventually landed on this hamburger concept. They're successful, making good money, comfortable with their achievement. They've been doing this since 1948, refining their system, figuring out the optimal way to produce fast food. Ray asks if they've considered expanding, opening more locations. The brothers say they've tried. They franchised a few restaurants. It didn't work well. Franchisees didn't follow the system properly, made modifications, cut corners. The quality suffered. The McDonald's name got diluted. They closed those franchises. Now they're content with their one location. It makes good money. Why complicate things? Ray sees opportunity where they see complication. He sees a system that could scale, a system so well defined, so thoroughly standardized, that it could be replicated anywhere, not just in California, but in Illinois, in Texas, in Maine. Anywhere people eat hamburgers, which is everywhere. He asks if he can franchise their system himself, handle the expansion, manage the franchisees, ensure quality control. He'll pay them a percentage. They keep their restaurant. He takes the risk and the work. The brothers are skeptical, but intrigued. They've had other inquiries about franchising, but Ray seems different, more serious, more committed. They agree to consider it. Ray returns to Chicago and begins preparing. The preparation is not exciting. It's paperwork, legal documents, financial projections. Ray needs to establish a company. He needs to create contracts. He needs to develop a franchise agreement. that legally binds franchisees to follow the McDonald's system exactly. This requires lawyers, which requires money. Ray borrows against his savings, mortgages his house. Ethel is not thrilled. Creating the franchise agreement takes months. The document must be precise. It must specify exactly what franchisees can and cannot do. The menu is fixed, no additions permitted. The preparation methods are specified, no variations allowed. The suppliers are designated, no substitutions without approval. Equipment must meet specifications. Buildings must follow architectural plans. The golden arches must be included. The color scheme must match. Everything must be identical. Ray works with lawyers to make this legally enforceable. They research franchise law, which is not well developed in 1954. They draft clauses, revise them, draft them again. Each revision costs money. Legal fees accumulate. Ray is spending money he doesn't have, betting on a concept that might not work. Simultaneously, Ray must find potential franchisees. This means sales. Ray is good at sales. He's been selling things his entire adult life. But this is different. He's not selling a product. He's selling an opportunity. A franchise opportunity that requires substantial capital investment, up to $75,000 for land, building, equipment, and promises returns that are theoretical rather than proven. He creates a presentation, not a PowerPoint. Those don't exist. A physical presentation with drawings, photos, financial projections typed on paper. He practices his pitch, emphasizes the McDonald's system, the speed, the consistency, the profit margins. He has numbers from the San Bernardino location, revenue per day, costs, net profit. The numbers are good, not miraculous, but good. Steady returns on substantial investment. Finding franchisees is slow work. Ray contacts everyone he knows, uses every business connection accumulated over decades, calls friends, acquaintances, former colleagues, attends business meetings, speaks at Rotary clubs. Gradually, people express interest. But interest isn't commitment. Converting interest into signed contracts requires persistence. The first franchisee is Neil Fox, who opens a location in Phoenix in 1953, actually before Ray's official involvement. The second is Ray himself, opening a location in Des Plaines, Illinois in 1955. This becomes the prototype, the model all future franchises will follow. Ray is personally involved in every aspect of this restaurant's development. He must be. This restaurant must prove the concept works outside California. Finding a location for the Des Plaines restaurant requires research. Ray drives around Chicago suburbs, looking for the right site. He's looking for specific characteristics: suburban area, growing population, near but not on major highways, visible from the road, large enough lot for the building and parking, affordable rent or purchase price. He finds a location in Des Plaines. It's not perfect. The lot is smaller than ideal, but it's available and affordable. Negotiating the lease takes weeks, back and forth with the property owner. Price per square foot, lease terms, options for renewal. Ray wants everything in writing, everything specified. He's careful, methodical, aware that one bad lease term could undermine the entire operation. Once the location is secured, construction begins. Ray works with architects and contractors, though works with understates the situation. He micromanages every detail. The building must match the San Bernardino design. The dimensions must be exact. The golden arches must be exactly as specified. The kitchen layout must replicate the original. Any deviation requires justification. The architects push back sometimes. They suggest improvements, modifications that might work better. Ray rejects most suggestions. The system works because it's standardized. Any change, even potentially beneficial changes, introduce variables. Variables complicate training, create inconsistencies, undermine the concept. Ray insists on exact replication. Construction is slow. Contractors work at their own pace. Ray visits the site daily, checking progress, asking questions, noting any deviations from plans. He's not popular with the construction crew. He's the annoying client who notices everything, questions everything, demands everything be exactly right. But he's paying them, so they tolerate him. While construction proceeds, Ray must handle other preparations. He needs to establish supply chains. McDonald's requires specific products. Hamburger buns of particular size and composition. Potatoes cut to exact dimensions. Beef ground to specific fat content. These items are not standard. Regular suppliers don't carry them. Ray must work with suppliers to create custom products, meeting McDonald's specifications. Negotiating with suppliers is tedious. And when we say tedious, we mean soul-crushingly, mind-numbingly, eye-glazingly tedious. Let's walk through what this actually entails, because it's representative of the boring work that builds businesses. Ray's first supplier meeting is with a bun manufacturer in Chicago. The company is called Interstate Bakers, and they make hamburger buns for restaurants and grocery stores. Ray calls them, explains his concept, requests a meeting. The owner, Mr. Patterson, agrees to meet, probably out of curiosity more than genuine interest. The meeting happens in Interstate Baker's office, a second-floor space above their bakery. You can smell bread baking, which is pleasant initially, but becomes cloying after an hour. Mr. Patterson is in his 60s, skeptical of new ideas, comfortable with his existing business. Ray begins his presentation. He explains the McDonald's concept: fast food, standardized production, high volume. Mr. Patterson listens politely, but without enthusiasm. When Ray finishes, Mr. Patterson asks reasonable questions. How many buns will you need? Ray doesn't know. He's opening one restaurant. Future growth is uncertain. Mr. Patterson nods. This is a problem. Bakeries operate on volume. They need commitments to justify custom production. Ray explains his specifications: bun size, diameter, thickness, texture, taste profile. Mr. Patterson takes notes, says these specifications are unusual. His standard buns don't match. Custom buns mean custom dough formulations, custom baking procedures, custom packaging. This requires investment. He needs assurance of sufficient orders to justify that investment. They negotiate back and forth. Mr. Patterson wants a minimum order commitment, at least 10,000 buns weekly. Ray can't commit to that. His single restaurant won't use 10,000 buns weekly. Not initially. Mr. Patterson suggests Ray use standard buns. Ray refuses. The specifications are essential. Standard buns won't work. They reach an impasse. Ray asks if they can start with a smaller commitment. Test batches. Prove the concept. Mr. Patterson is skeptical, but suggests 2,000 buns weekly for 3 months. This gives Ray time to demonstrate that his restaurant will actually succeed. The price per bun is higher than standard. Custom production costs more, but Ray accepts. He needs a supplier. They discuss delivery logistics. Interstate Bakers delivers to Chicago area customers on Tuesdays and Fridays. Ray's restaurant is in Des Plaines, outside their normal route. Can they extend their route? Mr. Patterson says yes, but delivery charges apply. Ray calculates whether the delivery charges make economic sense. The numbers are tight, but workable. He agrees. They draft a contract. Mr. Patterson has a standard supplier agreement. Ray reads it carefully. The terms include clauses about payment timing, quality disputes, order modifications, termination conditions. Some clauses are acceptable, others aren't. Ray requests modifications. Mr. Patterson resists. They negotiate each clause. The meeting extends to 3 hours, then 4. They break for lunch, eating sandwiches from a nearby deli while continuing negotiations. Finally, they reach agreement. The contract is typed by Mr. Patterson's secretary, a process that takes another hour because she types slowly and the contract is multiple pages. Ray signs the contract. Mr. Patterson signs the contract. They shake hands. Ray leaves with a supplier for hamburger buns. 1 item secured. Many more to go. The potato supplier negotiation is similar, but more complicated. Potatoes must meet specific criteria: size, variety, quality, storage conditions. Ray contacts several potato distributors, explaining his requirements. Most aren't interested. They sell to grocery stores and restaurants that buy whatever potatoes are available. Custom specifications mean custom sourcing, which is more work for uncertain benefit. Ray finds a distributor in Idaho, Mr. Anderson, who's willing to consider custom specifications. Ray flies to Idaho. Yes, flies, despite his usual reluctance to spend money on air travel. Potato negotiations require in-person discussion. He lands in Boise, rents a car, drives to Mr. Anderson's office in a small town whose name Ray later can't remember. Mr. Anderson is younger, maybe 40, more entrepreneurial than Mr. Patterson. He's interested in growing his business. Ray explains McDonald's, shows photographs of the San Bernardino restaurant, shares financial projections. Mr. Anderson listens attentively. He asks smart questions about volume, seasonality, pricing. The potato specifications are demanding. Russet Burbank variety only. Specific size range. No blemishes. No green spots indicating solanine. Fresh. Not stored longer than 3 months. Mr. Anderson explains, this is challenging. Russet Burbanks are common, but specific size. Sorting and quality control requires effort. He can do it, but needs premium pricing to justify the work. They discuss pricing. Potatoes are commodity priced. Mr. Anderson shows Ray commodity price charts, explaining that prices fluctuate with harvest yields, weather, demand. Ray wants fixed pricing, predictable costs. Mr. Anderson says that's difficult. Commodity markets don't work that way. They compromise. 6-month contracts with prices adjusted based on commodity indices, but capped at maximum increases. This protects Ray from dramatic price spikes, while allowing Mr. Anderson to adjust for genuine cost changes. Delivery is complicated. Idaho to Illinois is significant distance. Potatoes must stay cool during transport, but not freeze. Mr. Anderson uses refrigerated trucks. Delivery schedule is weekly, arriving Mondays to ensure fresh potatoes for the week. Ray calculates storage capacity. His restaurant can store approximately 800 pounds of potatoes. At projected usage rates, this represents about 10 days of supply, providing buffer for delivery disruptions. They negotiate payment terms. Mr. Anderson wants payment on delivery. Ray wants net 30, meaning payment within 30 days of delivery. This is standard business practice, allowing Ray to sell hamburgers and receive revenue before paying for ingredients. Mr. Anderson resists. Commodity businesses operate on tight margins. He needs cash flow. They compromise on net 15. Ray will pay within 15 days of delivery. The contract drafting takes 2 days. Mr. Anderson's lawyer prepares a draft. Ray reviews it, finds issues, requests changes. The lawyer prepares a revised draft. They meet again, discuss remaining issues. Ray insists on quality guarantees. If potatoes don't meet specifications, he can reject the shipment. Mr. Anderson agrees, but limits the rejection rate. Ray can reject up to 10% of a shipment without penalty. Higher rejection rates require renegotiation. They finalize the contract. Ray signs. Mr. Anderson signs. Ray returns to Chicago, having secured a potato supplier. The trip cost him 3 days and approximately $400 in travel expenses. But he has potatoes. The beef supplier negotiation is longest and most complex. Beef is expensive. Quality variation is significant. Food safety is critical. Ray needs a supplier who can provide consistent quality, meet safety standards, deliver reliably, and charge competitive prices. This is not easy to find. Ray contacts several meat packers in the Midwest. Chicago is a meat packing center. Multiple companies operate there. Ray meets with representatives from Swift, Armour, Wilson. These are major national companies. They're accustomed to large institutional customers. Ray's single restaurant is barely worth their time. The Swift representative is dismissive, suggests Ray work with a local butcher. Swift supplies, hospitals, hotels, military bases. They're not interested in single restaurant customers. Ray persists, explains his expansion plans. The representative is skeptical. Everyone has expansion plans. Few execute them. Ray provides financial projections, franchise agreements in progress, evidence this is serious. The representative agrees to consider it and will get back to him. 2 weeks later, Ray hasn't heard from Swift. He calls, leaves messages, finally reaches the representative, who says they've decided not to pursue this opportunity. It's too small. Ray is disappointed, but not surprised. He contacts other suppliers. Armour is slightly more receptive. They're willing to supply beef, but only in 500-pound minimum orders. Ray's restaurant won't use 500 pounds weekly, not initially. He asks about smaller quantities. Armour says no. Their logistics don't support smaller deliveries. Ray calculates whether he can store 500 pounds of ground beef. His refrigeration capacity is limited. Storing that much beef means freezing most of it, then thawing as needed. But freezing affects quality. Ray declines Armour's offer. Eventually, Ray finds a smaller meat packer, Chicago Meat Company, willing to work with him. They're not a national giant. They're a regional supplier hungry for business. The owner, Mr. Goldberg, meets with Ray personally. Ray explains his requirements. 83:17, lean to fat ratio, fresh, never frozen, weekly deliveries. Mr. Goldberg says he can do this. They discuss pricing. Beef prices fluctuate based on cattle markets. Mr. Goldberg shows Ray pricing history, demonstrating volatility. Ray wants fixed pricing. Mr. Goldberg says that's impossible. Beef is a commodity. Prices change. They compromise. Quarterly pricing, based on market rates, with 30-day advance notice of changes. This gives Ray predictability for planning, while allowing Mr. Goldberg to adjust for real cost changes. Quality specifications require extensive discussion. Ray explains that consistency is crucial. Every pound of beef must match the 8317 specification, must be ground fresh, must be delivered within 24 hours of grinding, must be maintained at proper temperature during transport. Mr. Goldberg agrees these are reasonable requirements. He explains his quality control processes: incoming cattle inspection, fat content testing, temperature monitoring, delivery schedules. Ray asks to visit the facility. Mr. Goldberg agrees. Ray spends a day at Chicago Meat Company, watching operations. The facility is clean. The equipment is well maintained. Workers follow sanitary procedures. Ray is satisfied. This supplier can meet his needs. They draft a contract. It's lengthy because food safety and quality are complex subjects. The contract specifies testing procedures, delivery schedules, temperature requirements, payment terms, dispute resolution processes. Ray reads every word, requests clarifications, insists on specific language about quality rejection rights. Mr. Goldberg's lawyer objects to some requested language. They negotiate, compromise, revise, finally reach agreement. Ray signs. Mr. Goldberg signs. Ray has a beef supplier. The negotiation took 5 weeks from first contact to signed contract. 5 weeks of meetings, discussions, facility visits, contract drafts, revisions, negotiations. This is what supplier relationships actually require. Not a handshake and a deal. Weeks of tedious, detailed work. The same process repeats for every supplier. Pickle supplier, onion supplier, ketchup supplier, mustard supplier, milk supplier. Each negotiation follows a similar pattern: initial contact, specification explanation, skepticism, price negotiation, quality guarantee discussion, contract drafting, review, revision, finalization. Each process takes weeks. The cumulative time investment is months. And this is just for the Days Plains restaurant. As franchises open, Ray must either extend these supply agreements to cover new locations or help franchisees establish their own supplier relationships. He chooses a hybrid approach. Major ingredients like beef and buns are sourced through centralized contracts that cover all franchises, ensuring consistency. Minor ingredients and supplies can be sourced locally by franchisees within specifications. Managing centralized supply contracts becomes its own full-time job. Ray hires someone specifically for this purpose: a supply chain manager who handles supplier relationships, negotiates contracts, monitors quality, resolves disputes. This is 1958. Supply chain management as a discipline barely exists. Ray is inventing it out of necessity. The supply chain manager, Mr. Thompson, creates systems for tracking supplier performance, delivery timeliness, quality compliance, pricing accuracy, problem resolution speed. He generates monthly reports showing each supplier's performance across metrics. Underperforming suppliers receive warnings. Persistent underperformance results in contract termination. Ray is ruthless about this. Suppliers who can't meet commitments are replaced, regardless of relationships or historical performance. Finding replacement suppliers is difficult. Ray learns this when Chicago Meat Company fails a quality audit in 1959. An inspection reveals that their fat content testing procedure is inadequate. Finding a new beef supplier takes 2 months. Ray contacts multiple packers. Most aren't interested or can't meet specifications. Eventually, he finds Wilson, one of the large packers he'd initially contacted. Wilson has expanded their small customer program and is now willing to work with McDonald's, which has grown from one restaurant to 12. Volume matters. Wilson can justify the specialized handling. The Wilson negotiation is smoother than Chicago Meat Company because Ray has experience now. He knows what terms to request, what quality guarantees to insist upon, what pricing structures work. The contract drafting still takes weeks, but the process is more efficient. Ray and Wilson reach agreement. Beef supply is secured again. Training staff is another challenge. Ray needs employees who can execute the McDonald's system. The system is simple, but requires precision. Burgers must be cooked exactly right. Fries must be prepared according to specifications. Orders must be assembled correctly. Speed is essential, but not at the expense of quality. Ray creates training materials, not elaborate materials. Typed instructions, simple diagrams, step-by-step procedures. He trains the first employees himself, demonstrating each task, having them practice, correcting their mistakes. It takes days to train someone adequately. Ray is patient when teaching, but intolerant of continued errors once training is complete. The Des Plaines restaurant opens in April 1955. The opening is not glamorous. Ray is there early, checking everything. Equipment functioning properly. Supplies stocked. Staff ready. He's nervous. This entire concept depends on this restaurant succeeding. If it fails, the franchise business fails. Years of work and substantial debt will be for nothing. The first customers arrive. Orders are taken. Food is prepared. Hamburgers are sold. The process works. Not perfectly. There are mistakes, confusion, forgotten procedures. But it works well enough. Customers get food quickly. The food is acceptable. Nobody complains seriously. By day's end, Ray is exhausted, but satisfied. The concept is proven. Operating the Des Plaines restaurant reveals problems the San Bernardino location didn't have. Weather, for instance. California is temperate. Illinois has winter. When temperatures drop, customers are less willing to eat outside. The lack of indoor seating becomes a problem. Sales decline. Ray considers adding a small indoor dining area, but this requires modifying the design, which means getting approval from the McDonald brothers, which means negotiations. He calls the brothers, explains the problem, proposes a solution. They're hesitant. Indoor seating changes the concept. It requires space, furniture, maintenance. It complicates operations. Ray persists. He explains this is necessary for northern climates. Eventually, they agree. Reluctantly, Ray adds a small dining room to the Des Plaines location. It's basic. Plastic chairs, formica tables. But it provides shelter. Winter sales improve. Every problem requires a solution. Every solution requires documentation. Ray starts creating an operations manual. This manual will specify every procedure, every standard, every rule that franchisees must follow. It's a massive undertaking. Hundreds of procedures need documentation. He works on this nights and weekends, typing specifications, creating checklists, defining standards. The manual covers everything, and by everything, we mean everything. Let's talk about hamburgers first, because hamburgers are the foundation of the entire business. The hamburger section of the operations manual runs to 47 pages. 47 pages about making hamburgers. Ray starts with the beef itself. The specifications for ground beef are precise. 83% lean, 17% fat, not 80-20, which is standard for most ground beef, not 85-15, which would be leaner, exactly 83-17. This ratio produces hamburgers that are juicy but not greasy, flavorful but not fatty. Ray tested different ratios extensively, cooked hundreds of burgers with varying fat contents. 83-17 was optimal. The beef must be ground fresh, never frozen before grinding. It must be formed into patties of exactly 1.6 ounces, not 1.5, not 1.7, exactly 1.6 ounces, which produces the correct patty size after cooking. The patties must be 3.875 inches in diameter before cooking. They must be pressed to uniform thickness of 0.221 inches. These measurements seem arbitrary. They're not. They're the result of extensive testing to determine what size produces the best ratio of meat to bun, what thickness cooks evenly in the allotted time. The grilling process is specified in excruciating detail. The griddle must be heated to exactly 350 degrees Fahrenheit, not 325, not 375. The temperature must be verified with a thermometer before cooking begins. Patties are placed on the griddle in a specific pattern. A diagram in the manual shows exact positioning. This pattern ensures even heat distribution and allows the cook to track which patties were placed first. Cooking time is 40 seconds for the first side, 30 seconds for the second side. These times are not approximate. Ray includes a section explaining why these specific times matter. 40 seconds for the first side allows the patty to develop proper sear and char without burning. 30 seconds for the second side finishes cooking the interior to the proper temperature, somewhere between 140 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit internally, while maintaining moisture. The flipping technique is described with illustrations. The spatula must slide under the patty from the side, lifting the entire patty cleanly, without tearing. The flip must be quick, definite, landing the patty flat on its second side. Sloppy flipping creates uneven cooking. The manual emphasizes that this is a skill requiring practice. New employees should practice flipping without patties first, developing the motion until it becomes automatic. Seasoning happens during cooking, not before, not after, during. The manual specifies exactly when. After placing patties on the griddle, wait 15 seconds. Then apply salt and pepper to the top side. The 15-second delay allows the meat surface to begin searing, which helps seasoning adhere. Too early, and seasoning falls through the grill. Too late, and it doesn't penetrate the meat surface properly. The amount of seasoning is specified. 1 shake of the salt shaker per patty, 1 shake of the pepper shaker per patty. Ray realized that season to taste is too vague. Different cooks have different preferences. Standardization requires specific quantities. He determined that standard shaker holes, filled with standard salt and pepper, deliver the correct amount in 1 shake. The manual includes specifications for the shakers themselves: hole size, fill level, everything. The bun preparation section runs to 31 pages. Yes, 31 pages about hamburger buns. The buns are custom made to McDonald's specifications. Standard hamburger buns are too large or too small or the wrong texture. McDonald's buns are 3.5 inches in diameter, designed to match the cooked patty size, creating proper meat-to-bun ratio. The buns are enriched with milk and butter, giving them a slightly sweet taste that complements the savory meat. The buns arrive at restaurants in specific packaging, clear plastic bags containing 1 dozen buns each. Storage is specified. Buns must be stored at room temperature in a dry area, not refrigerated. Refrigeration toughens them, not in humid areas. Humidity creates sogginess. Room temperature, dry storage, used within 3 days of delivery. Toasting the buns is a critical step. The manual devotes 12 pages to this process alone. The bun toaster is a specialized piece of equipment, a heated metal surface calibrated to exactly 400 degrees. The buns are placed crown and heel down on the toaster for 17 seconds. Not 15, not 20. 17 seconds produces optimal toasting, visible browning, slight crispness, but not hardness. The toasting must happen just before assembly. Toasting too early results in buns that cool and lose their appealing texture. Ray tested various timing windows. He determined that the bun should come off the toaster and receive its patty within 30 seconds maximum. This requires coordination between the grill station and the assembly station. The assembly process is choreographed like a ballet. Assuming ballet involved mustard and pickles, the manual includes a detailed procedure with numbered steps and illustrations. The toasted bun crown is placed on a clean assembly surface. Mustard is applied in a spiral pattern starting from the center. Ray found this distributes mustard more evenly than random squirting. The mustard spiral takes approximately 1.5 seconds to apply. Ray timed this. Next comes ketchup, applied in a similar spiral pattern but in the opposite direction. This creates a crosshatch effect that ensures both condiments are present in every bite. The ketchup application takes 1.5 seconds. 2 pickle slices are placed on top of the ketchup. Not 1 slice, not 3, 2. They're positioned at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock positions. The manual includes a clock diagram to illustrate this. This positioning ensures pickles are distributed across the hamburger rather than concentrated in one area. Reconstituted onions come next. The onions arrive dried, are rehydrated with water according to specific proportions detailed in a separate section of the manual, and are applied with a specific spoon holding approximately 0.25 ounces, 1 spoonful per hamburger, spread across the pickle area. The patty is placed on top of this prepared bun crown. Then the bun heel goes on top, completing the hamburger. The entire assembly process, from placing the crown to completing the hamburger, should take approximately 8 seconds. Ray timed thousands of assemblies to determine this target. 8 seconds is fast enough to maintain throughput, but slow enough to ensure accuracy. The manual emphasizes that speed without accuracy is worthless. A quickly made incorrect hamburger is worse than a slowly made correct hamburger, though obviously the goal is a quickly made correct hamburger. The completed hamburger is immediately wrapped. The wrapping paper is custom designed, wax coated to resist grease, printed with the McDonald's logo. The wrapping technique is, you guessed it, specified in detail. The manual includes a 6-step illustrated guide to wrapping hamburgers. The paper is placed at a diagonal. The hamburger is positioned in the center. The paper is folded over from one corner. Then the sides are tucked. Then the final corner is folded and pressed to seal. A properly wrapped hamburger stays together during handling and eating. Let's move to French fries, because the French fry section of the manual is 83 pages long. 83 pages about fried potatoes. This is where Ray's obsession with detail reaches its peak. French fries begin with potato selection. Not just any potatoes. Russet Burbank potatoes specifically. This variety has the correct starch content, water content, and sugar content to produce the ideal fry. Too much starch in fries are gummy. Too little, and they're crispy on the outside, but hollow inside. Too much sugar, and they brown too quickly before cooking through. Russet Burbanks, grown in specific regions, Idaho primarily, have the right balance. The potatoes must meet size specifications, 7 to 8 ounces each. Smaller potatoes don't yield enough fries. Larger potatoes are difficult to cut uniformly. The potatoes arrive at restaurants in 100-pound bags. Storage is critical. They must be stored in a dark, cool area, around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Too warm, and they sprout. Too cold, and the starches convert to sugars, ruining the fry quality. Cutting the potatoes is mechanized, but still requires attention. The cutting machine has a blade grid that produces fries of exactly 0.28 inches square in cross-section. This specific size is optimal for cooking, thick enough to have substantial potato inside, thin enough to cook quickly and crisp properly. Ray tested fry thicknesses ranging from 0.20 inches to 0.40 inches before settling on 0.28. The cut potatoes must be rinsed immediately in cold water. This removes surface starch that would otherwise cause fries to stick together during cooking. The manual specifies rinsing for 30 seconds under running water, then draining for 60 seconds. The timing matters. Under-rinsing leaves too much starch. Over-rinsing removes too much, making fries that don't brown properly. After rinsing and draining, the fries go into the fryer. The fryer is filled with a specific blend of vegetable oils, formulated to McDonald's specifications. The blend is primarily beef tallow originally. This is 1960s McDonald's, before health consciousness changed the recipe. The beef tallow gives the fries a distinctive flavor that customers love. The oil temperature must be exactly 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Ray tested temperatures from 300 to 375. Too low, and fries absorb too much oil, becoming greasy. Too high, and they burn before cooking through. The frying process happens in 2 stages. Yes, 2 stages. This is Ray's innovation, borrowed from European technique, but refined through testing. The first fry, the blanch, cooks the potato interior without browning the exterior. Fries are submerged for 1 minute and 30 seconds, then removed and drained. At this point, they're cooked, but pale, limp. They look terrible, but this step is essential. The blanched fries can be held for a short time before the second fry, which means French fry production can be partially decoupled from customer orders. This significantly improves efficiency during rush periods. The blanched fries sit in baskets, waiting for the final fry. The final fry happens when fries are actually ordered. The blanched fries go back into the 325-degree oil for exactly 2 minutes and 15 seconds. This second fry crisps the exterior while leaving the interior fluffy. The exact timing is critical. 15 seconds too short, and the fries are limp. 15 seconds too long, and they're overly dark and hard. When the fries emerge from the final fry, they're immediately salted. The salt is applied while the fries are still glistening with oil, ensuring adhesion. The amount of salt is, of course, specified. 2 shakes of the salt shaker per basket of fries. The manual includes a photograph showing proper salt coverage. Too little salt and fries taste bland. Too much and they're unpleasantly salty. 2 shakes is correct. The fries are served in red cardboard sleeves, custom designed for McDonald's. The sleeves are not just packaging, they're portioning devices. A sleeve properly filled contains exactly 2.4 ounces of fries. The manual includes instructions for filling sleeves. Scoop the fries loosely, don't pack them down, fill to the sleeve's top edge. This creates consistent portions while giving an appearance of generous serving. Now, milkshakes. The milkshake section of the manual is 42 pages because milkshakes, while simpler than hamburgers or fries, still require precision. The shake machine is the multi-mixer, the device that started Ray's involvement with McDonald's. Each multi-mixer can blend 5 shakes simultaneously. The shake formula is specific. The base is soft serve ice cream mix stored in the machine's refrigerated cylinder. This isn't standard ice cream. It's a special formulation higher in milk solids, lower in fat than typical ice cream. 3 ounces of ice cream mix per shake. Milk is added, 4 ounces of whole milk. The ratio of ice cream to milk determines thickness. Too much ice cream, and the shake is too thick to drink through a straw. Too much milk, and it's thin, more like chocolate milk than a milkshake. 3 to 4 is optimal. Flavoring comes next. Chocolate shakes get 2 pumps of chocolate syrup. Vanilla shakes get 2 pumps of vanilla syrup. Strawberry shakes get 2 pumps of strawberry syrup. The syrup pumps are calibrated to deliver exactly 0.5 ounces per pump, so 2 pumps equals 1 ounce of syrup per shake. The manual explains that consistency in flavoring is crucial. Customers develop expectations. A shake that's too weakly flavored or too strongly flavored violates those expectations. Blending time is 25 seconds. Ray tested blending times from 15 to 40 seconds. Too short and the ingredients don't fully combine, leaving streaks of syrup and ice cream clumps. Too long and the shake becomes too thin, almost frothy. 25 seconds produces optimal consistency. Smooth, thick, but drinkable. The completed shake is poured into a paper cup, filled to approximately 3/4 full, leaving room for a lid. The straw goes into the shake immediately. McDonald's uses paper straws. Plastic straws don't exist yet in food service. The paper straws must meet specifications too. Diameter, wall thickness, length. Ray tested various straws and selected ones that would function properly with milkshake consistency without collapsing or becoming soggy during reasonable drinking time. Writing this manual is tedious. Ray is not a natural writer. He writes plainly, focusing on clarity rather than style. Each procedure gets broken into numbered steps. Nothing is assumed. Everything is specified. If something can be misunderstood, it will be, so Ray over-explains, providing more detail than seems necessary. But this excessive detail is intentional. The manual must be usable by anyone. Ray envisions franchisees with no restaurant experience using this manual to train staff. The manual must be sufficiently detailed that someone who's never worked in food service can follow it and produce acceptable results. This requires not just explaining what to do, but why, addressing potential mistakes, providing troubleshooting guidance. Each section of the manual includes a common errors subsection. For hamburgers, common errors include flipping too soon, resulting in patties that stick and tear, applying too much pressure with a spatula, squeezing out juices, leaving patties on the grill too long, creating dry, hard burgers. The manual explains how to recognize these errors and correct them. For French fries, common errors include cutting potatoes that are too cold, resulting in uneven cuts, not rinsing long enough, causing fries to stick together, overcrowding the fryer, lowering oil temperature, and producing greasy fries. Again, recognition and correction procedures are provided. The manual grows to hundreds of pages. Ray revises it constantly as he learns what information franchisees actually need. Some sections are too vague and require elaboration. Others are too detailed and confuse rather than clarify. Finding the right balance takes time. Simultaneously, Ray is recruiting more franchisees. The Des Plaines restaurant is profitable, which helps with credibility. Ray has actual financial data to show prospects: revenue per day, operating costs, net profit margins. The numbers prove the concept works. People become interested. Ray's phone rings more frequently. Meetings get scheduled. Ray meets with prospective franchisees in his office, or in restaurants, or sometimes in their homes. Each meeting follows a pattern. Ray presents the McDonald's concept, shows photos of the restaurants, shares financial data, explains the system, emphasizes that success requires following specifications exactly. No creativity, no improvements, just faithful execution of a proven system. Some prospects are enthusiastic immediately. Others are skeptical. They question whether standardization is too restrictive, whether the limited menu will bore customers, whether fast food is sustainable or just a fad. Ray addresses objections patiently, repeats his key points, emphasizes the evidence. The San Bernardino restaurant has operated successfully since 1948. The Des Plaines restaurant is profitable. The system works. Converting prospects to franchisees requires persistence. Let's follow one example in detail because it illustrates what this process actually involves. In 1957, Ray meets a man named John at a business networking event in Cleveland. John owns a successful hardware store, is in his early 40s, financially stable, and is considering his next business venture. Ray strikes up a conversation. John is polite, but non-committal. Ray mentions McDonald's briefly. John hasn't heard of it. Ray describes the concept: fast food, high volume, proven system. John expresses mild interest, the kind of polite interest you show at networking events. When someone describes their business, Ray doesn't push. Instead, he gets John's business card, says he'll send some information. John agrees, probably not expecting follow-up, but Ray does follow up. 3 days later, John receives a package in the mail. Inside is a folder containing photographs of McDonald's restaurants, a typed description of the franchise opportunity, and financial projections. Ray's covering letter is brief and professional. He's providing information as promised. No hard sell, just facts. John reads the materials. He's intrigued enough to keep them, not intrigued enough to act. 2 weeks later, Ray calls, asks if John received the materials. John says yes. Ray asks if he has questions. John has several. How much initial investment? Ray explains. $75,000, approximately, covering land, building construction, equipment, initial supplies, and working capital. That's substantial. John says he needs to think about it. Ray says, of course. No pressure. But if John is interested, maybe they could meet in person to discuss further. John non-committally says, maybe. Ray says he'll be in Cleveland again next month. Perhaps they could meet for coffee. John agrees. The meeting happens at a diner near John's hardware store. Ray arrives early, orders coffee, waits. John arrives 15 minutes late, apologizing. He had customers at the store. Ray says no problem. They order lunch. Ray asks John about his hardware business. Lets John talk. Asks questions showing genuine interest. This isn't sales technique. Ray is genuinely curious about other businesses, how they operate, what works, what doesn't. After 15 minutes of conversation about hardware retail, Ray transitions to McDonald's. But he doesn't pitch. He tells stories. The San Bernardino restaurant, the crowds, the efficiency, the McDonald brothers' innovation. He describes the day plane's opening, the challenges, the problems solved, the growing customer base. He's not presenting a business opportunity. He's sharing experiences. John listens, asks questions. What about competition? Ray acknowledges competition exists, but explains McDonald's differentiators: speed, consistency, price, value, proposition. The lunch lasts 2 hours. Ray doesn't ask for commitment. Instead, he invites John to visit a McDonald's restaurant, see the operation firsthand. John says maybe. Ray says no pressure. Standing invitation. If John is ever near Des Plaines, stop by. Ray will show him around personally. John says he'll consider it. They part cordially. 3 months pass. Ray hasn't contacted John again. He's patient. Aggressive follow-up turns people off. Then Ray receives a call. It's John. He's visiting family near Chicago next week. Could he take Ray up on that offer to visit the restaurant? Ray says absolutely. They arrange a time. John arrives at the Des Plaines McDonald's on a Saturday afternoon. Busy time. Lines at the ordering windows. Rapid turnover. Ray meets John, shakes hands, starts the tour. They observe from outside first. Ray points out the operational flow. Customers order, pay, receive food within minutes, leave. New customers take their place. The cycle repeats continuously. Ray shares numbers. Average transaction time. Customers served per hour. Revenue per day. John is impressed by the volume. They go inside the kitchen. Ray walks John through every station. The grill, the fry station, the shake machines, the assembly area. He explains the standardization. Every hamburger identical. Every fry batch cooked exactly the same way. Every shake blended precisely. John asks how this is enforced. Ray shows him the operations manual. Several hundred pages of specifications. John is skeptical. This seems overly rigid. Ray explains that rigidity enables consistency, and consistency builds brand reputation. They sit at a table outside, eat hamburgers, fries, shakes. Ray doesn't talk business. Instead, he asks John about his family visit. How long is he in town? Seeing many relatives. The conversation is casual, friendly. As they're finishing, Ray mentions, almost as an afterthought, that Cleveland would be a good market for McDonald's. Growing population, suburban development, strong economy. John should think about whether this interests him. No pressure, just a thought. John returns to Cleveland. He doesn't call immediately, but he's thinking about it. Ray can tell because 3 weeks later, John calls with detailed questions. How does real estate acquisition work? What support does McDonald's corporate provide? What are typical operating costs? Ray answers every question thoroughly, honestly. He doesn't oversell, doesn't minimize challenges, presents realistic picture of what franchise ownership involves. They exchange letters. John sends questions by mail. Ray responds with detailed typed answers. This correspondence continues for 2 months. Ray is patient. Franchise purchase is a major decision. People need time to evaluate. He maintains contact without pressure, provides information, answers questions, waits. Finally, John calls. He's ready to proceed. Wants to open a McDonald's in Cleveland. Ray is pleased but doesn't show excessive enthusiasm. He explains next steps. John needs to complete a formal franchise application, provide financial statements, undergo background checks. McDonald's doesn't franchise to anyone. Ray wants to ensure franchisees have the financial capacity, business acumen, and commitment to follow the system. John understands. Submits application. The approval process takes 6 weeks. McDonald's reviews. John's financial statements. Checks references. Evaluates his business experience. Everything looks good. Application approved. Now comes contract negotiation. The franchise agreement is lengthy, 37 pages of legal language defining rights, obligations, standards, termination conditions. Ray sends the contract to John, advises him to have a lawyer review it. John does. His lawyer suggests modifications. Ray's lawyer responds. They negotiate specific clauses. This takes 4 weeks. While legal negotiations proceed, John must find a site for the restaurant. Ray provides guidance on site selection criteria, suburban location, high traffic area, large enough lot, proper zoning. John searches Cleveland suburbs, identifies potential sites, shares them with Ray. Some sites are rejected immediately. Wrong location, insufficient traffic, problematic zoning. Other sites are possibilities. Ray visits Cleveland, looks at sites with John. They narrow options to 3 viable locations. John negotiates with property owners. This takes weeks. Eventually secures a lease on the preferred site. Simultaneously, John arranges financing. The $75,000 investment exceeds John's available cash. He needs a loan. Applies to multiple banks. Explains the McDonald's franchise concept. Some banks are skeptical. Fast food is unproven. Franchise businesses have mixed track records. But John has a solid financial history. The hardware store is profitable. He has equity. Eventually, a bank approves a loan for $50,000, requiring John to provide $25,000 down payment from his own funds. John liquidates some investments, withdraws savings, assembles the down payment. Construction begins. Ray's architects provide detailed building plans. Local contractors bid on the project. John selects a contractor. Construction takes 4 months. Delays occur. Weather, supply issues, the usual construction problems. Ray visits monthly to inspect progress. He's demanding, notices deviations from plans, insists on corrections. The contractor finds him difficult, but the building gets built correctly. During construction, John begins training. He travels to Des Plaines, spends 2 weeks learning McDonald's operations. Ray personally conducts much of the training. They start with basics, making hamburgers, cooking fries, preparing shakes. John practices each task repeatedly until he can perform it correctly, consistently. Then they move to more complex topics, opening procedures, closing procedures, inventory management, cash handling, customer service, quality control. The training is intensive. Long days. Exhaustive detail. John is overwhelmed initially, but gradually the system makes sense. He begins to understand why specifications matter, why standardization works. John returns to Cleveland with training materials, operations manuals, supplier contacts, and several pages of notes. He must now hire staff. McDonald's provides guidelines for recruiting, but John handles the actual hiring. He needs a manager to run daily operations, several crew members for different stations. He interviews candidates, looks for people who can follow instructions precisely, work quickly, maintain quality standards. Finding good employees is challenging. Many candidates want flexibility that McDonald's system doesn't permit. Eventually, John hires a team. Staff training is John's responsibility, guided by Ray's materials. John follows the same process Ray used with him. Each employee learns one station thoroughly before moving to the next. The grill, the fries, the shakes, assembly, cash register, opening, closing. Each person must demonstrate competency before being certified for independent work. The training takes 3 weeks. It's tedious, repetitive work, but John understands its necessity. The restaurant opens in November 1958. Ray attends the opening. So do several other McDonald's franchisees, showing support. The first day is chaotic. Despite training, real customers create different pressure. Orders pile up. Staff becomes confused. Mistakes happen. A hamburger is overcooked. Fries are undersalted. A shake machine malfunctions temporarily. But the team works through problems. By day's end, they've served 312 customers. Revenue is 247. Not spectacular, but acceptable for a first day. The first month is difficult. Daily operations reveal problems training hadn't covered. Supply deliveries arrive late. Equipment breaks. Staff calls in sick. John works 16-hour days, handling everything. He questions whether this investment was wise. Ray visits weekly, provides encouragement, helps troubleshoot. Gradually, operations stabilize. Staff becomes competent. Processes smooth out. By month 3, the restaurant operates efficiently. By month 6, it's profitable. This entire process, from initial meeting to profitable operation, took 18 months. 18 months of meetings, correspondence, negotiations, construction, training, and problem solving. This is what franchising actually requires. Not a quick transaction, but a prolonged relationship building and capability building process. And this is just one franchisee. Ray repeats this process dozens of times, hundreds, eventually. Each franchise requires similar investment of time and attention. Some prospects never convert. Ray invests time in people who ultimately decide against franchising. He accepts this. Not everyone will commit. Sales involves rejection. He maintains records of everyone contacted. If someone declines but remains interested, Ray follows up periodically. Sometimes people who initially declined reconsider months or years later. Ray's persistence and patience gradually build a network of franchisees. Each new restaurant requires Ray's involvement. He reviews site selections, approves architectural plans, inspects construction, trains management, attends openings. He's traveling constantly. Chicago to Phoenix, Phoenix to Los Angeles, Los Angeles to Wichita, back to Chicago, then out again. His life is airports and rental cars and hotel rooms and meetings. The travel is exhausting. Ray is in his 50s, not young, not particularly healthy. He has diabetes, which requires careful diet management, difficult when eating in restaurants constantly. He has arthritis, which makes long flights uncomfortable, but he pushes through. The business requires his presence. Franchisees need support. Problems need solving. He can't delegate this. Not yet. Problems emerge constantly. A franchisee in California isn't following specifications. His hamburgers are larger than standard. Ray visits, sees the problem, insists on compliance. The franchisee argues, this is better. Customers prefer larger burgers. Ray says uniformity matters more than individual improvement. They argue. Eventually, Ray prevails. The franchisee complies or loses the franchise. Another franchisee in Texas is using cheaper buns, saving money, increasing profit margin. Ray learns about this through mystery shoppers he sends to restaurants. He calls the franchisee, explains the buns don't meet specifications. The franchisee argues they're close enough. Customers don't notice. Ray says that's irrelevant. The contract requires specific buns. The franchisee must comply or face consequences. The franchisee switches suppliers. Enforcing standards is constant work. Let's understand what this actually means in practice. Because quality control sounds straightforward, but implementing it is complex, tedious, and often uncomfortable. Ray develops a formal inspection system in 1959. By this point, there are 43 McDonald's restaurants operating. Ray can't personally visit each one regularly. He needs a systematic approach to ensure standards are maintained. He creates an inspection program. The inspection program begins with developing a comprehensive checklist. Ray sits in his office with a legal pad, listing every aspect of restaurant operations that matters: food quality, service speed, cleanliness, employee appearance, equipment maintenance, inventory management, financial practices. The list grows to 17 pages. Each page contains multiple items. Each item is something that can be evaluated objectively. Food quality items are specific. Hamburger temperature, measured with thermometer, should be 140-160 degrees Fahrenheit. Internally, hamburger appearance, no excessive charring, no undercooked areas, bun properly toasted, condiment quantities, measured visually against specifications, French fry color, golden brown, not pale, not dark, French fry texture, crispy exterior, fluffy interior, tested by eating, milkshake consistency, thick enough to support a straw standing upright, not too thin. Service speed items are measurable. Average time from order to food delivery. Target is under 3 minutes. Line length at ordering windows should not exceed 8 customers during peak hours. Food accuracy. Percentage of orders completed correctly without revision. Cash register accuracy. Percentage of transactions processed without errors. Cleanliness items are detailed. Grill surface appearance, free of carbon buildup, properly scraped. Fry station, free of oil splatter, properly wiped down. Floor, swept and mopped, no visible debris. Windows, clean, no smudges or fingerprints. Restrooms, clean, stocked with supplies, no odors. Parking lot, free of litter, striping visible. Employee appearance standards specify uniforms, grooming, hygiene, white paper hat, properly positioned, white shirt, clean and pressed, black pants, clean and pressed, black shoes, clean, name tag, properly positioned, hands clean, nails trimmed, no jewelry, hair covered completely by hat, no visible tattoos, no strong cologne or perfume. Ray creates a scoring system. Each item on the checklist receives points, 1 to 5, depending on importance. Critical items like food safety receive 5 points. Minor items like parking lot appearance receive 1 point. The maximum possible score is 482 points. Ray establishes minimum acceptable scores. Overall score must be at least 410, 85% compliance. Any single 5-point item failing receives automatic restaurant failure regardless of overall score. Now, Ray needs inspectors. He can't do all inspections personally. He hires 3 people initially, not restaurant managers, not food service experts. He wants people with attention to detail, willingness to travel, ability to deliver uncomfortable feedback. He finds 2 former military officers and 1 former accountant. These people understand systems, procedures, compliance. Inspector training takes 2 weeks. Ray trains them personally using the Des Plaines restaurant. They learn to evaluate each checklist item objectively, how to measure hamburger temperature properly, how to assess French fry quality, how to time service speed, how to spot cleanliness issues that casual observation misses. They practice inspections repeatedly until their evaluations are consistent. The inspection protocol is thorough. Inspectors arrive unannounced, no advance warning. They order food like regular customers, eat it, evaluate it against specifications. They observe operations for at least an hour, watch multiple customers being served, time the process, note any deviations from standard procedures. Then they identify themselves to the manager, request access to the kitchen, conduct detailed inspection using the checklist. This process takes 3 to 4 hours. After inspection, the inspector completes a detailed report. The report includes numerical scores for each category, overall score, specific deficiencies noted, photographic evidence of problems, and recommendations for correction. The report goes to Ray. Ray reviews every inspection report personally, reads every word, studies every photograph, signs off on every recommendation. Restaurants scoring below minimum receive warnings. The warning letter is formal, explaining deficiencies, requiring written response, describing correction plans, scheduling follow-up inspection in 30 days. The franchisee must acknowledge the warning in writing, confirming understanding of deficiencies and commitment to correction. Let's follow one specific inspection to illustrate how this works. In June 1960, Inspector Williams visits the McDonald's in Dayton, Ohio. This franchise is owned by Mr. Henderson, who opened the restaurant 8 months ago. Henderson is a solid franchisee generally. No previous problems. This is a routine inspection. Williams arrives at 11:30 a.m., lunch rush beginning. He joins the line, orders a hamburger, fries, and shake, pays, waits. The ordering process seems smooth. He times it, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, from ordering to receiving food. This meets standards. The food is handed to him properly, paper wrapping clean, no grease stains visible on the outside. Williams finds a table, opens the hamburger wrapper, examines the hamburger visually. The bun is properly toasted. The patty appears correctly sized. He checks condiment distribution. The pickles are positioned correctly. The onions are present. But the ketchup coverage looks light. He takes a bite. The hamburger tastes acceptable. Temperature feels appropriate. He finishes eating, noting observations on a small notepad he keeps in his pocket. The French fries present problems. Williams examines them. They're slightly darker than standard, not burned, but beyond optimal color. He tastes them. They're slightly tough, overcooked. He measures several fries with a ruler he carries. Yes, he carries a ruler. The fries are correct length, which means they were cut properly, but they were cooked too long. He notes this. The milkshake is acceptable, proper consistency, good flavor, appropriate temperature. He places a straw in the shake, releases it. The straw stands upright. This is correct consistency. The shake passes inspection. Williams observes operations for another hour, watches how orders are taken, how food is prepared, how customers are served. He notes that the grill operator is cooking hamburgers properly. Good technique, proper flipping. But the fry operator seems rushed, dumping fries into oil, removing them too quickly, not monitoring cook time carefully. This explains the overcooked fries. It's not a supply problem or equipment problem. It's a training problem. After observation, Williams identifies himself to Henderson, says he's conducting a routine inspection. Henderson is nervous. Williams is cordial, but professional. Asks to see the kitchen. Henderson complies. Williams begins his detailed inspection. The grill is acceptably clean. Some minor carbon buildup, but within tolerance. The spatulas are clean. The grill temperature is correct. Williams checks with a thermometer. The hamburger patties, stored nearby, are properly refrigerated. He checks the temperature. 38 degrees. Correct. He weighs several patties on a scale he carries. Yes, he carries a scale. They're 1.6 ounces, exactly as specified. The fry station has problems. Oil temperature is 340 degrees. Should be 325. This explains the overcooked fries. Too high temperature cooks them too quickly. Williams points this out. Henderson hadn't realized. The temperature control had drifted. Williams checks when the fryer was last serviced. Henderson shows maintenance logs. The fryer servicing is overdue. Williams notes this. The shake machine is acceptably clean, properly maintained, temperature correct. Williams checks ice cream mix ratios by reading the machine's indicators. Everything looks good. The milkshake station passes. Williams inspects the storage areas. Refrigeration units are properly maintained. Temperatures are correct. Food is properly stored. Raw beef separate from prepared items. Containers are labeled with dates. Inventory rotation appears proper. Storage passes inspection. The restrooms present problems. They're clean but not perfectly clean. Soap dispensers are empty. Paper towel holders are partially empty. The floor has water spots that should have been mopped. These are minor deficiencies, but deficiencies nonetheless. Williams photographs the restrooms. Henderson looks embarrassed. Williams completes his inspection, compiles his scores. Overall, the restaurant scores 394 out of 482. This is below the 410 minimum. The primary problems are fry station temperature control and restroom maintenance. Neither is critical. Food safety isn't compromised. Operations are fundamentally sound, but standards require 85% compliance. This restaurant achieved 82%. Williams explains the results to Henderson. Henderson accepts them professionally, asks what happens now. Williams explains the warning process. Henderson will receive a formal letter, must respond in writing with correction plan. Follow-up inspection in 30 days. Henderson agrees. Williams thanks him for cooperation, leaves. Henderson receives the warning letter 5 days later. It's on McDonald's corporate letterhead, signed by Ray Kroc personally. The letter is respectful but firm. It lists the specific deficiencies, notes that while no critical safety issues were found, the restaurant failed to meet minimum standards, requires written response within 10 days, describing how deficiencies will be corrected, states that follow-up inspection will occur in 30 days. If the follow-up inspection also results in failure, franchise termination procedures may begin. Henderson is shaken. He didn't realize how serious this is. He immediately contacts his fryer service company, schedules emergency service. The technician arrives, recalibrates the fryer temperature control. It had drifted over months of operation. The technician explains, this is normal wear, but should be caught through regular maintenance. Henderson commits to monthly service checks. For the restroom issues, Henderson implements new cleaning protocols. Restrooms are checked hourly instead of every 2 hours. Supplies are restocked immediately when they run low. He creates a checklist that staff must sign each time restrooms are checked. This provides documentation of compliance. Henderson writes his response letter, explains the specific actions taken, provides evidence, the fryer service receipt, photographs of the new restroom checklist, testimony from staff about new protocols, sends the letter to Ray. Ray reads it. It's adequate. Corrective actions are appropriate. He approves the response, schedules the follow-up inspection. 35 days later, Inspector Williams returns. It's another unannounced visit. Different time, mid-afternoon, avoiding rush. Williams orders food again. This time the French fries are perfect. Golden brown, proper texture. He measures the oil temperature later. 325 degrees exactly. The problem is fixed. The restrooms are impeccable, properly stocked, perfectly clean. Williams can't find any deficiencies. The new protocol is working. Overall, the restaurant scores 141 out of 482, well above minimum. Williams congratulates Henderson. The warning is resolved. Henderson is relieved. This is what quality control actually requires. Not occasional casual observation. Systematic, detailed, documented inspection. Clear standards, measurable criteria, formal processes for identifying and correcting deficiencies. Follow-up to ensure corrections are made. It's tedious work, but it's essential for maintaining brand consistency across dozens, then hundreds of locations. Not all franchisees respond as professionally as Henderson. Some argue, claim standards are too strict, insist their way is better. Ray and his inspectors hold firm. The standards are not negotiable. Franchisees who refuse to comply lose their franchises. Between 1958 and 1965, Ray terminates 11 franchise agreements for persistent quality failures. These terminations are painful. Legal disputes, financial losses, relationship destruction, but they establish credibly that standards matter. Other franchisees see these terminations and take compliance seriously. The inspection system evolves. By 1963, McDonald's employs 23 inspectors covering all restaurants. Inspection frequency increases to quarterly for compliant restaurants, monthly for restaurants with previous warnings. The checklist expands to 26 pages as new standards are added. The scoring system becomes more sophisticated, weighing items by customer impact. The documentation requirements grow. More photographs, more detailed notes, more comprehensive reports. Ray reads inspection reports religiously, even as McDonald's grows to hundreds of restaurants, even as he delegates most operational management. He still reads every inspection report. This takes hours weekly. Sometimes he spots patterns that individual inspectors miss. A particular supplier having quality issues affecting multiple restaurants. An equipment model prone to failure. A training gap appearing across multiple locations. He identifies these patterns and directs corrections. The inspection system is expensive. Inspector salaries, travel costs, equipment, report processing. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. Some franchisees complain about inspection costs being passed along to them through fees. Ray doesn't budge. Quality control is essential. Without consistent standards, McDonald's is just another restaurant chain. With consistent standards, McDonald's becomes a brand customers trust. Trust is valuable, worth the cost. This obsessive attention to detail, this willingness to invest in boring processes like inspection and documentation, this insistence on standards even when inconvenient or expensive, this is what actually built McDonald's. Not brilliant marketing, not lucky breaks, boring, tedious, systematic quality control. The financial situation remains precarious. Let's be very clear about what this means because financial difficulties sounds abstract. We're talking about a man in his mid-50s who has mortgaged his house, borrowed against his life insurance, exhausted his savings, and still doesn't have enough money to pay bills on time. Ray's personal financial records from this period, preserved in company archives, tell a grim story. His 1958 tax returns show income of $18,450. This sounds reasonable for 1958, except Ray is working 80-hour weeks, building a business with 43 locations. By comparison, a middle manager at General Motors earns more, works less, has better security. Ray's wife, Ethel, earns more as a secretary than Ray pays himself as CEO of an expanding franchise operation. The monthly budget Ray maintains on graph paper, in his precise handwriting, shows exactly where money comes from and where it goes. Income side is simple: franchise fees and the small salary he pays himself. Expenses fill 2 pages: legal fees, constantly defending against trademark challenges, drafting contracts, resolving disputes, travel expenses, flights, rental cars, hotels, meals, office rent, staff salaries. By 1958, Ray employs 12 people, utilities, supplies, insurance. The expenses exceed income by approximately $2,000 monthly. This shortfall gets covered by additional borrowing. Ray borrows from everyone who will lend, banks initially. When banks become reluctant, he borrows from friends, then friends of friends, then people he met once at business conferences who were impressed by his pitch. He maintains a list of lenders with amounts borrowed, interest rates, repayment schedules. The list fills 3 pages. Some loans are formal, with contracts and collateral. Others are handshake agreements with verbal promises. Ray tracks them all meticulously because defaulting would destroy his credibility and any chance of future borrowing. The mortgage on his house in Arlington Heights gets refinanced 3 times between 1956 and 1960. Each refinancing extracts additional equity, providing cash to fund McDonald's operations. By 1960, the mortgage exceeds the house's market value. If Ray defaults, he loses not just the house, but money beyond the house's worth. Ethel is terrified. She married a milkshake machine salesman with modest but stable income. Now she's married to an entrepreneur drowning in debt, obsessed with hamburgers, never home, constantly stressed. The stress affects Ray's health. He's diabetic, a condition diagnosed in his 40s. Stress elevates blood sugar. Ray's supposed to maintain careful diet, avoid excessive sugar, exercise regularly, take medication consistently. He does none of this. He eats in restaurants constantly, whatever is available, whatever is fast, whatever fits between meetings. His medication sits in hotel room medicine cabinets, often forgotten. Exercise is walking through airports. His doctor warns him. His blood sugar levels are dangerous. He needs to take this seriously. Ray acknowledges the warnings and does nothing. He doesn't have time for health. He has a business to build. Ethel begs him to stop, to get a stable job, to return to predictable income. They have enough money to live comfortably if he'd just accept a normal sales position. Companies would hire him. He has excellent sales record, proven track record. But Ray refuses. He's too close to success. McDonald's is growing. The concept is proven. He just needs more time, more capital, more franchises. Success is always just ahead, just beyond the next loan, the next opening, the next quarter. Their marriage deteriorates. Ethel and Ray argue frequently about money, about his absence, about the risk he's imposed on their retirement. Ethel is 53 in 1958. She'd like to plan for retirement, maybe travel, enjoy their later years. Instead, she's facing possible bankruptcy. Ray tries to reassure her, shows her financial projections, points to growing franchise numbers, explains the real estate strategy that will eventually generate stable income. Ethel doesn't understand the projections. She understands that every month more bills arrive than they can pay. Ray's daughter from his first marriage, Marilyn, is also affected. She's in her late 20s, recently divorced, raising 2 children alone. She needs financial help occasionally. Ray can't provide it. He has no money. This creates guilt. As a father, he should be able to help his daughter. As an entrepreneur, every dollar must go to the business. He's choosing hamburgers over helping his daughter. He rationalizes this. If McDonald's succeeds, he can help her substantially. If it fails, he couldn't have helped anyway. But the rationalization doesn't eliminate the guilt. Investors approach Ray occasionally, interested in McDonald's potential. They offer money in exchange for equity, percentages of the company. Ray always refuses. He's suffered too much to share ownership. He borrowed money, risked his home, sacrificed his marriage. The company is his. The success, when it comes, will be his. Sharing equity feels like giving away something he earned through suffering. So, he refuses investment, chooses continued hardship, maintains control. The real estate strategy, developed with Harry Sonneborn's help, begins alleviating financial pressure. In 1960, here's how it actually works. Because the concept is clever, but the implementation is complex. McDonald's Corporation establishes Franchise Realty Corporation, a subsidiary. When a franchisee wants to open a restaurant, instead of the franchisee buying land and building the restaurant, Franchise Realty Corporation does it. FRC identifies suitable land, negotiates purchase, handles construction, then leases the completed restaurant to the franchisee. The franchisee pays rent based on the greater of either a minimum base rent or a percentage of gross sales. Let's use specific numbers. From an actual 1960 lease, minimum base rent is $500 monthly. Percentage rent is 5% of gross sales. This creates beautiful economics for McDonald's. The company earns rental income on every restaurant, regardless of franchise fee income. As restaurants succeed and sales grow, rental income grows proportionally. McDonald's is betting on its own system's success. If the system works, if McDonald's restaurants are profitable, then rental income increases automatically. But implementing this requires capital. Buying land and constructing buildings costs $75,000 to $100,000 per location. McDonald's doesn't have this capital, so Sonneborn structures creative financing. He approaches insurance companies, pension funds, and banks with a proposal. These institutions buy the land and building. McDonald's leases from them on a long-term lease, typically 20 years. McDonald's subleases to the franchisee at a higher rent. McDonald's profits from the spread between what it pays and what it collects. Let's follow one specific example. A restaurant site in Michigan costs $90,000, $20,000 for land, $70,000 for construction. An insurance company provides the capital. McDonald's signs a 20-year lease at $600 monthly, total of $144,000 over 20 years. McDonald's subleases to the franchisee at $750 monthly, total of $180,000 over 20 years. McDonald's nets $36,000 over 20 years, or $150 monthly, on this single location. Multiply by hundreds of locations, and the income becomes substantial. This structure also provides tax advantages. McDonald's deducts its rental payments as business expense. The franchisee deducts rental payments. The insurance company receives steady income and takes depreciation deductions on the property. Everyone benefits from tax efficiencies, while McDonald's builds a real estate empire with virtually no capital investment. But implementing this across dozens of simultaneous new restaurant developments creates massive complexity. Each deal involves different land, different prices, different lease terms, different financing sources. Ray employs lawyers, accountants, real estate specialists to structure these deals. The complexity is overwhelming, but the economics work. By late 1960, rental income begins flowing consistently. By 1961, it exceeds $500,000 annually. By 1962, it's over $1 million. McDonald's financial picture transforms. Ray's personal financial situation finally improves. He increases his salary to a reasonable level, $35,000 in 1961. Still modest for a CEO of a growing company, but enough to relieve immediate pressure. He stops borrowing, begins repaying loans, pays down the mortgage. His stress decreases somewhat, though he never truly relaxes. There's always another problem, another challenge, another thing requiring attention. Ethel's relief is temporary. The marriage is broken beyond the specific issue of money. Ray is married to McDonald's, not to Ethel. He works constantly. When home, he's mentally at work. He talks about hamburgers, franchises, real estate deals, expansion plans. Ethel has no interest in any of this. They've become roommates, not partners. In 1961, they divorce. Ray pays her a settlement from his now improving finances. They part without animosity, but without warmth. They simply grew into different people with different priorities. Ray remarries in 1963 to Joan Smith, whom he met at a McDonald's franchisee convention. Joan understands the business, shares Ray's interest in it, tolerates his obsession with it. Their marriage is more compatible. Joan becomes involved in McDonald's philanthropic work, establishing what becomes the Ronald McDonald House Charities years later. But even this marriage is secondary to the business. Ray is always, primarily, married to McDonald's. Looking back at these financial struggles, several points are worth noting. First, Ray's persistence bordered on irrational. Any reasonable person would have quit. The risks were too high, the rewards too uncertain, the personal cost too severe. But Ray wasn't reasonable. He was obsessed. This obsession destroyed his first marriage, damaged his health, created years of unnecessary suffering. It also created McDonald's. Success and dysfunction are inseparable here. Second, the financial engineering, the real estate strategy, the creative financing, the lease arbitrage mattered as much as the hamburger concept. great products fail without sound financing. Ray understood this, or rather, Harry Sonneborn understood it, and Ray was smart enough to listen. The boring financial details enabled the business to survive long enough to succeed. Third, the extended period of financial precariousness created a culture of frugality that persisted even after McDonald's became profitable. Ray never stopped caring about small expenses, never stopped scrutinizing costs, never accepted waste. This frugality, born of necessity, became competitive advantage. McDonald's operated more efficiently than competitors partially because Ray, scarred by years of financial struggle, refused to tolerate unnecessary spending. These years, 1955 through 1961, were Ray's formative period as CEO. He learned what mattered. Systems matter. Standards matter. Persistence matters. Control matters. And capital structure matters as much as operational excellence. These lessons learned through failure and near failure shaped McDonald's culture permanently. Even decades later, after Ray's death, McDonald's retained the obsessive focus on standardization, the commitment to quality control, the attention to financial metrics that Ray instilled through years of difficult experience. By 1960, McDonald's has 228 locations. This sounds successful. It is successful by some measures. The restaurants are profitable. The brand is growing. But Ray, personally, is not making much money. The franchise fees go largely to expenses and to the McDonald brothers, who receive a percentage. Ray needs more revenue. He needs a way to profit from McDonald's growth beyond franchise fees. The solution is real estate. Ray realizes that the most valuable asset isn't the restaurant, it's the land underneath it. If McDonald's Corporation owns the land and leases it to franchisees, McDonald's earns rental income in addition to franchise fees. This creates a second revenue stream, one that grows with every new restaurant. Ray establishes a real estate subsidiary called Franchise Realty Corporation. This company will acquire land for new restaurants and lease it to franchisees. The leases are structured so McDonald's receives rent. That's a percentage of restaurant revenue. As restaurants succeed, McDonald's rent income increases. This is brilliant. Ray is essentially betting on his own franchisee's success while securing stable rental income. Implementing this real estate strategy requires capital. Buying land isn't cheap. Ray needs investors. He works with a financial advisor named Harry Sonneborn, who helps structure deals. They convince banks to provide financing. The arrangement is complex. Banks buy the land. McDonald's leases it from banks, then subleases to franchisees at higher rates. McDonald's profits from the spread. This financial engineering stabilizes McDonald's economics. Rental income begins flowing in. Cash flow improves. Ray can finally pay himself a reasonable salary, invest in expansion, hire more staff, develop better systems. The real estate strategy transforms McDonald's from a struggling franchise operation into a financially sound company. But there's still a problem. The McDonald brothers. Ray's contract with them gives them a percentage of gross sales from franchised restaurants. As McDonald's grows, their cut grows proportionally. By 1960, they're earning substantial money without doing any work. Ray resents this. He's doing all the work. He's building the company. They're just collecting checks. Ray approaches the brothers about buying them out. They agree, but want $2.7 million, an enormous sum in 1960. Ray doesn't have this money. He has to borrow it. mortgage everything again, take on huge debt. But he agrees. The deal closes in 1961. Ray finally owns McDonald's completely. No more sharing profits. No more needing approval for changes. Complete control. Owning McDonald's outright allows Ray to make decisions faster. He can test new menu items. Some franchisees have been requesting changes, adding items like the filet-o-fish sandwich, created by a franchisee in Cincinnati to serve Catholic customers on Fridays when they don't eat meat. Ray initially rejects this, then tests it. It succeeds. He adds it to the national menu. Product development becomes formalized. McDonald's establishes a test kitchen, develops new items systematically, tests them in select markets, evaluates sales data. Successful items get rolled out nationally. Failed items get discontinued. It's methodical, data-driven, removing emotion from decision-making. The Big Mac gets developed this way in 1967. A franchisee in Pittsburgh creates a double-decker hamburger. McDonald's tests it. Customers like it. It gets added to the menu nationally and becomes one of McDonald's signature items. Ray didn't invent it. He created a system that allows good ideas from franchisees to propagate. Advertising becomes important as competition increases. Burger King exists. Hardee's exists. Other chains are copying the fast food model. McDonald's needs differentiation beyond just efficiency. They need branding. Ray invests in advertising, television commercials, radio spots, print ads, billboards. The advertising emphasizes different themes over time. Initially, speed and convenience, then quality and taste, then family friendliness. McDonald's positions itself as a family restaurant, clean and safe, where parents can bring children. The famous "You Deserve a Break Today" campaign launches in 1971, emphasizing that McDonald's is a treat, a break from cooking, a small indulgence. Advertising requires substantial investment, millions of dollars annually. Ray commits to this spending, understanding that brand building is essential for long-term success. McDonald's becomes one of the largest advertisers in America. The Golden Arches become one of the most recognized symbols in the world. By 1970, McDonald's has over 1,600 locations. Revenue exceeds $587 million. The company goes public, selling shares on the stock market. Ray becomes wealthy, genuinely wealthy, for the first time in his life. He's in his late 60s. He's been working on McDonald's for nearly 20 years. It has consumed his life, ruined his marriage, damaged his health. But it succeeded. He built what he set out to build. The rest of Ray's life involves less operational involvement. He remains chairman, but delegates daily management. He focuses on promotion and expansion, appears in commercials, speaks at franchisee conventions, promotes McDonald's internationally. He becomes the public face of the company, the symbol of its success. Ray Kroc dies in 1984 at age 81. By then, McDonald's has 7,500 restaurants in 31 countries. It's the largest fast food chain in the world. The system Ray built continues operating, largely unchanged in its fundamentals: standardization, efficiency, consistency. The boring principles that made everything work. So, what did we learn tonight? That building McDonald's wasn't about one brilliant insight. It was about thousands of small decisions, countless tedious hours spent measuring, standardizing, documenting, training, enforcing. It was about persistence through years of financial precariousness. It was about obsessive attention to boring details that most people do not notice, but that collectively determine success or failure. Ray Kroc didn't invent hamburgers. He didn't invent fast food. He didn't even invent the McDonald's system. The brothers did that. What Ray did was recognize a good system, replicate it obsessively, enforce standards ruthlessly, and persist through years of difficulty until the system scaled to dominance. The lesson, if there is one, is that success in business is mostly boring. It's paperwork and negotiations and inspections and training and enforcement. It's doing the same things repeatedly, correctly, persistently, even when it's tedious and unrewarding. It's understanding that systems matter more than inspiration, that consistency beats brilliance, that boring, when executed perfectly, becomes powerful. And now, having walked through the thoroughly boring process of building one of the world's most successful businesses, having examined the paperwork and the measurements and the standardization and the enforcement, having seen that success is mostly repetition and persistence rather than genius and inspiration, we can rest. The hamburgers will continue being made. The fries will continue being fried. The milkshakes will continue being blended, all according to specifications, all standardized, all boring, all successful. Sleep well.